Okay, you know the drill. I may cuss, but I don't curse. We're going to get that situated first and then jump right into this timing parallel universes. We are continuing on the double slit astrology experimentation, if you will. And we're talking about timing parallel universes, continuing the series. So I was talking about how can I detect when to make the wave function collapse into the particle 3D game of life, right? And moreover, how can I even know why I had these dreams or why I'm having these dreams? And so let's get into it. So first I want to start off by saying this, right? These designs that I've come up with that I put on the slides, I got the idea from Itzhak Bentov. Forgive me if I'm pronouncing the name wrong or if I spelled it wrong, but this is a scientist from the 70s. His work was circulating in the 1970s, and he was speaking about basically what I'm speaking about right now. He just didn't have astrology applied to it. You get what I'm saying? So he knew that people were experiencing different realities or parallel realities based upon the frequency that they was tapped into. So some have duller frequencies than others. Others are more tapped in and more in tune, so they can communicate on levels that are not necessarily considered reality. And he, I would say, tragically or conveniently passed away in a plane crash. And later on, CIA picked up his documents, picked up his work, and they didn't even reference it. They just took it and copied it and pasted it into something called hemisync. So that's when the two hemispheres of the brain collaborate with each other. And it's like a meditative skill that people use for remote viewing and things of that nature. And they basically say this is the frequency where people are able to tap into parallel universes. So someone else, another scientist, picked up the term hemisync or what have you, but the CIA documents it as hemisync, I believe. And his wife had continued his experiments or tried to explain what he was getting at to continue his work and stuff like that too. So you could search this on YouTube to look deeper into it and see. But the way that he drew the diagram was very simple, and I like simple, very easy to understand, very easy to read. Now this guy had the equations, he had machines to measure it and all types of stuff. If I had the machinery, I'd be a beast. But he had all of the tools and he knew how to measure these things and use the math and use the science with it. I'm basically breaking it down the astrological way. So that's where the designs come from. I wanted to make sure that I give him credit. So now look, we're talking about a collapsed particle date that was yesterday, September 10th, 2025. For everyone that's catching up to this video, that is what this slide is based on, all right? So this is an interaction that had took place with me. And remember, I said I'm going to find out how do we detect timing? How can we properly plan based upon the dreams that we have and the imaginations that we have when we daydream and we develop our plans in the Neptune wave type function in the imagination, right? Develops in the dark. So I had 3 communicated path interactions yesterday on the 10th. Now, this all through the chart and everything. That's why I got it here to like give you a pictorial way. You know, when we was younger, we wanted to see the books with the pictures in it, right? And it ain't that people was just less smart. It was just like, yo, symbols, I'm great with symbolism. I'm a Pisces, so you show me the symbols, I can really interpret it, and a lot of you can as well. You know what I mean? So hence the slides. But I had 3 communicated path interactions. So I decided to look at the current planet transits and pick one aspect just to focus on. And I picked the Mars and Libra to be exact, opposition Moon in Aries, based upon the interactions that I was having, how they played out. You remember, I always tell y'all to track the moon if you want to find out the simplest way to understand planetary transits, right? So I used the moon and I used Mars. And I'm going to tell you why. So this is how I figure I could collapse wave activity into the particle function. There was something very telling about these planets transiting that was occurring yesterday. So first I want to say, in my dream videos, specifically the ones that are in the membership tier, I track where the sun and the moon is during the dreams purposely so that I can identify specific things. And I'm telling you, I come up with symbols and signs. Even the people are probably the sun sign that the sun is transiting, or the moon sign that the moon is transiting, or the symbolism will be related to those things. So this is definitely a key factor into being able to collapse wave into particles based upon those types of symbols that you find during the dreams. Special shit, ain't it? So it's amazing to me. You know what I mean? So it's the first key to deciphering and planning from the 5D or the wave timeline. So now, first, interaction, I get up at the Aries hour, 6 a.m. I do every morning. And I check my emails and my SMS messages, and I find that an Aries woman had reached out to me the day prior, which I believe the transit was still occurring, and they reached out at the day prior at the Virgo hour. Virgo rules over work. So we were negotiating, planning on working on a film, see if they can come in and do another scene. So they reached out to me and was like, hey, are you busy? Can you give me a call? Now, I told y'all my cell phone is twisted right now, right? Sometimes I could call and the connection may not be strong enough. It may drop or it may be staticky and stuff like that. It really got me, you know what I mean? But I'm still operating. I'm still functioning. I text them back like, yo, I would love to talk to you, you know what I'm saying? But I got this phone situation, yada, 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 yada. So that's the first description of the Mars in Libra opposition to Moon in Aries. Now think about it, right? Moon in Aries, not just because she's in Aries, but Moon in Aries, my emotional state is that I got to do something for myself, right? I got to take the action, Mars in Libra, because Libra is the relationship, right? The terms that we negotiated already. I got to take the action for the relationship while my emotional state is like, okay, I have to also get this phone, you know what I'm saying? Which is attributed to the action as well. I got to get this new phone so that the communication could be better, and then we could do this in a more efficient type of way. But you notice how all of a sudden I'm having tech issues during this opposition. It's like this was supposed to happen. You get what I'm saying? Because of the opposition. Remember, I told you oppositions are like light switches. You know how to flick it on, flick it off. So back to the emotional state, right? Dealing with the moon. I could have responded like, didn't I tell you that my phone is messed up and stuff like that? You know what I'm saying? Which I did tell them that before, you know what I'm saying? But they probably thought I got it fixed by now, whatever the case may be. But this is what I'm telling you was very important about emotional state, to try to remain positive and optimistic at all times, especially when you're dealing with allies, right? Because if I'd have got twisted and bent out of shape because of something that's my fault, right? She could just be like, yo, tone it down, buddy. Like, what's all that about? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's good? You know what I'm saying? But instead, I text them back, yo, I would love to, I'm doing this right now, and I'm taking that action to get that done. It should be done by the end of the month. You know what I mean? And then we can get on the phone and kick it or whatever the case may be. So, boom. But that is the description of an opposition, right or wrong. Like, you got something going on over here, something going over here, and you have to choose. And I had to choose myself, which is an Aries thing, but it's for the sake of the relationship, which is where Mars is on the other side. You know what I'm saying? So that was that interaction. And the second interaction, I checked my inbox, right? And I see that my Pisces had sent me something before they posted it on social media. So we don't have anything planned, and we haven't negotiated any terms to work together, whatever the case may be. But I would love to work with this woman. Like, she's incredible. You know what I'm saying? But we kick it. But I'm in the library at this time working on something very special. You know what I mean? And I don't know why I always set myself up to do this, but I just can't help it sometimes, especially when I see her. So I open up the text anyway, right? Bam. Open it up, ass cheeks everywhere. They're amazing to the point where I can't even describe it in detail right now. I'm just keeping it a being. And not for nothing, it's not like it was just for that. Like, she's actually doing something. She's being creative with it. And I'm not going to detail it because I don't want nobody to bite her style and then copy it and then, you know what I'm saying, come out with her idea. And like, so I'm just keeping it under wraps. So, and let her do her thing. But the point is, the desire is in Mars, passion and desire is in Mars, and the Mars planet is transiting inside of the sign of Libra. Relationships, right? I would love to negotiate terms with this woman. I would love to do something in that in that lane, but not for nothing. We have a relationship anyway. You understand what I'm saying? So the passion and the desire is there. I couldn't help it. You know what I'm saying? Even if I tried to, and it's just like, yo, I still opened it up, and my face is all lit up in the library. I got sweats on. I can't stand up. Like it was wild. So I just had to like put it away. You know what I'm saying? Like this is not a great time for this because the moon opposition Mars, and then again the emotional feeling state, right? It's just like I told you, I couldn't even stand up. So it's like my emotions is elated in a positive, in a productive, I guess you could say, type of way, right? But I also could have been like, yo, this is not the time to hit me up. I'm in the library. How's she supposed to know that? You know what I'm saying? If I'd have got twisted and I'd have, you know what I'm saying? That's why you got to check your emotions and just be like, yo, you know what I mean? That wasn't my thought process, but I'm just saying as an example, what if I would have took the negative emotions of Mars, anger, frustration, irritated because I'm being interrupted while I'm doing something, and try to flip it and bounce it on her like it's her fault. You know what I'm saying? It's my fault. If it was really that deep, I shouldn't have opened up the inbox. Like I told you, I always do this to myself anyway, when it comes to her anyway. Not saying that other people aren't special and get that type of attention, they do. But I still commented and text her back like in the moment, like, yo, this is great stuff, da-da-da-da-da. And said what I needed to say real quick, and then I got out of there. You know what I'm saying? But that was the second interaction. So third interaction is with an Aquarius that I work with. And as I'm working in the library, right? I finish in the library. As I'm talking about, immediately as I step out the front door of the library, my inbox goes off. Bing! I open it up. It's the Aquarius woman. And when I tell you I've been desiring to work with this woman, we got some modeling thing going on, and I'm just like being patient, waiting for her to do a thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm careful when I deal with her because she's an Aquarius, and this is not a slight to her or anything. It's just, I know in general, I got a lot of Aquarius friends. Planning something with an Aquarius is, don't ever try to pin down an Aquarius. And I'm not saying they do it intentionally. I don't know what it is, but it's like, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. Let them do their thing. Do not pin them down. So I don't do that. You know what I'm saying? I just present it and then see what happens. And I'm so thrilled that she would even consider this doing for me. I put no pressure on her, but I did hit her up a few days ago, and I'm like, yo, you slapping me with your feet right now, because I seen what they was doing and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So they was active, but they didn't get back to me yet on this thing that we negotiated. You know what I'm saying? But it's an inside joke, because I'm just being sarcastic, because I always tell her, like, yo, you're slapping me with your feet right now. When I first told her that, she was like, yo, what does that mean, slapping you? I said, yo, ain't that disrespectful? Like, what if somebody slaps you in the face with their feet? That's wild disrespectful, right? So she started laughing. She always laughs when I say that. You know what I'm saying? So that had taken place, but it was like the action, back to Mars. As soon as I took the action for myself, Mars is also an individual planet. We know this, right? But I took the action for myself. That's when the inbox text came in, based upon a relationship. And you know, Mars is a detriment in Libra. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, you know what I'm saying? What are we supposed to do? And it's like, I could have inboxed her back right at that very moment, but I was like, nah, chill. Let me not do that. You know what I'm saying? And this is not being negative. This is not being foul to them. I know I'm flying out of this building to go do something else very important, right? So why even get caught up and switch the emotional frequency, the emotional vibration of being in the state of taking care of business for myself, when I could do that first and then get back to them later, which is what I did. You know what I'm saying? So when I was done, I got back to them. I texted them back, and then this happened. She was like, yo, I'm going to be available at this date and time. So you see, I got the date and time, well, not the time, but the date up here, 9/10/25 to 9/15/25. So she's going to be available like on the 14th. But I'm saying, give or take, I'll maybe give her a day grace period. You know what I'm saying? And then I'll hit her up the next day and do my best with the phone if I can, if I can't. You know what I'm saying? But I'll at least try, at least text her and communicate with her in some type of way, maybe through audios. You know what I'm saying? So that is a part of, again, a communicated path. And it's along the lines of wave Saturn. So you see in this diagram, right? Different from the ones that I priorly had put up in the other videos, we have another collapsed wave outside of the first one. See, this first dot on the first collapse wave is me being in the current places wherever I'm at, the library, checking my email, this, that, and the third. Now, the second one outside of that is the Mars opposition Moon transit that was occurring on that particular day, right? So it's still collapsed form because it was taking place. Now the communication, right? Oh, I forgot the communicative path lines to those planets, but the communication path took place in the collapsed 3D particle. When she gave the date of when we can continue to go over plans and stuff like that, that was wave Neptune based upon the plans that I developed, but also wave Saturn coming into play, because now we have an actual date to start building this thing. You understand what I'm saying? And Saturn is the Time Lord. So we're getting there. We're not quite there, but we're getting there. Now wave Neptune is my plan, my bigger picture, the developing plan that's taking place in the wave function. It's ever changing, it's ever expanding based upon communicated paths, commuting paths, right? So there's going to always be a lot of changes when you're dealing with 12th house Pisces, Neptune, because it's a mutable energy. You know what I'm saying? So plans are not ever always concrete until you build. That's why I measured twice, cut once. You know what I'm saying? Type shit. But listen, so remember what I told you about emotional states and even Jupiter, because you will want to do everything you can to work with optimistic people. They will eventually become your allies. You know what I'm saying? Those are your allies. Anyone else is dicking you around when they just like, yeah, maybe, just playing around, communicating, and you just like, where's the social relevance? And they're dicking you around. It's like, snip, 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 snip. You know what I'm saying? These are the people that you leave on red and stuff like that, just because. You know what I'm saying? You got a dream that you're trying to fulfill, and friends are going to help you do those things. So does the opposition state that it's not a good time to interact, right? I would say not at all, because again, oppositions are like a light switch. When you know what they are, you know that they're occurring, you know how to turn a light switch off, see the message, text them back, tell them what it is so they have clarity, and then go on about your business, right? Switch the light switch on, switch it back off, and go over here. Switch it on over here, switch it off, go back over here. You know what I'm saying? It's a choice. It's up to you. Now, you could lean all the way on the side, right, and just forget about the other side. That's your choice as well. You know what I'm saying? It's up to you. But if you want to know how to balance this thing out or address it, this is what they call addressing squares and oppositions. It's an obstacle. So do you go to it head on, or do you refrain from it because you feel uncomfortable? You feel that it's an opposition, like, oh man, I want to talk to them, but I'm heading this way and I really got to get there. I'm on a time schedule. You know what I'm saying? You can still be responsible and be like, you know what, let me just text them real quick, or let me wait until I'm finished running around and then get back to them. But when somebody leave you on red for like a week, 3 days, 4 days, come on, snip, snip. What are you talking about? So, talking about the Time Lord and the development of my plans, right? Pisces is the dream. The very special thing about a transit in the current 3D particle is that it's happening for everyone. So Saturn just entered Pisces September 1st. It's occurring for everyone on the planet. So creativity, film, glamour world, photography, all of these things is where I'm looking to connect with people and develop my plan, my big dream, right? And this is where the notion of shared hologram comes in, because you're allowing people to, and they're allowing you to interact. Venus is exalted in Pisces and share the hologram. You know what I'm saying? So I'm on it since it entered. I'm halfway done writing the second film. When I get back up with the Aries woman, we're going to finish the other film. I just finished a 3-minute film last week. You know what I'm saying? So this is a reflection of Saturn transiting Pisces. And it's in retrograde, right? So like I said, I'm calling me and the Aries girl, we kicking it because we want to go back to a film that we've done already. And I'm like, yo, something is missing from it. And I just would you consider coming back in and doing another scene? You know what I'm saying? Because I see it now. That's the revision. Whenever planets are in retrograde, you want to go over and revise things, look it over before you launch it, before you publish it and what have you. You know what I'm saying? So that's occurring. That's another reflection of the planetary transit. Now, although my developments are imagined and they function as a wave, right? What about dreams? What about dreams? We don't want to leave that out. We don't want to say, oh, we're just daydreaming and we're imagining things, right? What about the dreams too? Because it gets deeper then. We want to connect the dreams and collapse them in the particle, the way that I did with the other dream that I said in the other video, right? So I had 2 dreams with 2 of these women, and I feel like I should bring them up. So I had dreams with the Aries, and I had a dream with the Aquarius. So it gets tricky here because this is where you identify whose hologram you're in. So I guess now I've cracked the code on what they meant in Inception by who's designing the dream and stuff like that. So with the Aries, I was looking at her photos one day, right? One night. And then I went to sleep probably like an hour later after that. And I ended up dreaming about being in her bedroom, and it felt like some extracurricular activities were about to take place. You get what I'm saying? However, there was someone there that would interfere with that occurring. So I pumped the brakes on that and I was like, let me fall back. But I could feel the intensity in the air. You know what I'm saying? Like, we this close, and I'm just like, yo, this is about to happen. You know what I'm saying? And then I like slipped out of the dream. You know how you be like REM sleeping or lucid dreaming, and then you're like halfway in, halfway out? It was like one of those. Slipped right out, right? So we get on the jack. I tell her about the dream, right? Now, before this, I haven't ever seen her apartment. I haven't even ever seen her take pictures in her bedroom or anything like that. I haven't ever seen her bedroom, right? So I said, yo, I had a dream I was in your bedroom, this, that, and the third. She was like, for real, did you take advantage? Did you take full advantage? Like, she's wild. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo. She was like, you could have. I'm like, maybe not, if you hear what I got to say. You know what I'm saying? But, so what I did was I said, I could tell you what your bedroom looks like. So I gave her a description of what her bedroom looks like. Why? Y'all may think I'm bullshit. I kid you not. Why did she send me a picture of her bedroom? And it was to the T. I ain't gonna describe her bedroom. I was about to, but every detail that I described to her, I gave her the color of the walls. I gave her the color of the bedspread, like the headboard. I gave her where a piece of furniture was next to another piece of furniture. I gave her the color of the carpet. She was like, I don't think she's too impressed anymore, because it's like she's impressed by a lot of stuff that I do. She's like, yo, you just like a superhuman type dude. You know what I'm saying? She ain't fluffing me up or nothing. You know what I'm saying? She's just keeping it a bean. Like, yo, she know the kid do a lot of stuff. So, but whose hologram was that? Whose dream? Who created that dream? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? She was like, yo, take full advantage. So was it hers or was it mine? Because I was the one who was actually looking at her pictures. You know what I'm saying? So maybe it was my desire, whatever the case may be. Now, I had that dream on file, but it's gone now thanks to the Uranus, Pisces, Virgo eclipse. It's gone. So I can't detect what actual date that was that I had the dream, but I do remember it. I got great memory now thanks to doing all of this stuff. You know what I mean? Plus I got a 12th house stellium, so my memory is elephant. You know what I mean? But that is a way that I would track or get more intel on when's the best time to collapse that wave into a particle. You know what I mean? Now with the aqua, it was her hologram. Reason why I know this is another dream that is gone. But the reason why I know this is because we were discussing something and we were planning to like do something. But it was her idea, I recall. It was her idea. The dream that I had, it was her idea in the dream. And I was like, oh shit. Like she said, do this, do that, be here, yada, yada, yada. I'm dreaming that we're there. Not exactly doing what we said we was going to do, but it was like in the process about to do it. And it gets tricky here because sometimes like it fell through. Reason being is because my money was tied up at the particular time. So Jupiter kind of protects you when it, not even kind of, Jupiter protects you in instances like that when you're planning something and you're about to do something, but you're rushing it. It's like a rushed job. It was, you know what I'm saying? And it's not her fault. It's not my fault. It's just we are well intentioned. It's just it's not time yet, right? Saturn's the time lord. So if Saturn doesn't interfere, because we had set a date, you know what I'm saying? If Saturn doesn't interfere, it's just like, okay, y'all set the date, go ahead, build it. You know what I'm saying? Jupiter may interfere and be like, oh well, here goes a surprise expense, or you know what I'm saying? You got to pay this first before you can do that, and this, that, and third. So it's just like, I see what's going on here. You know what I mean? But not for nothing though, I also seen something in the dream that was like, might want to pump the brakes on that. And I haven't explained that to them, but this is another factor that comes into play, the symbolism, right? You know what I'm saying? And it kind of was a prophetic dream. It wasn't even a symbolic one. It was a prophetic one. So I was like, maybe that's not the best experience, and maybe it's occurring, and I seen what I seen based upon it being a rush job, but we trying to do it too quickly, you know? So, like I said, it brings me to this shared holograms. Once people agree on the terms, which is Venus, or it's more like a Saturn transiting Libra, because you're obligating to the terms and conditions, right? And then communicating the path to build it with Saturn, right? But like I was saying before, what's special about this is the transits apply to everyone on planet Earth, the current transits in the particle 3D game of life. So, you know, what I'm focused on is film, creativity, photography, and the glamour world. You know what I'm saying? Focus is a sun attribute. I explained that in the other video, to where I don't want to divulge into this other dream that I had, but I'm telling you, watch your attention and your focus, because you could look this way and look at something, because the sun rules over leisure time too, right? Spend something on leisure time. Next thing you know, you get immersed in somebody else's, you almost get immersed in their hologram, sort of. Because I had a dream a couple of nights ago where that happened. I was just like, in between time, I'm like, let me take a 5-minute break. I'm looking at something. I end up going to bed, having a dream about that individual, and it totally was like unappealing. It was totally unnerving. And I'm like, that's what I get. That's what I get. So when you hear manifesting coaches and gurus on YouTube and they talk about your attention, your focus is very important, this, that, and the third, they are not lying, yo. They are not lying, because this is the game of life, and this is your game. This is your game chips. This is your vision. If you want to share your hologram with someone, focus and give your attention to the people you want to share your hologram with. Everyone else, snip, 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 snip. I know it sounds foul, it sounds harsh, but yo, what are you going to do about your dreams, B? What are you going to do about your dream? You know what I'm saying? What are you going to do about it? You're going to take it lightly, it'll take you lightly. You know what I'm saying? So, on the communicated paths, you know, sometimes we tell people, because I told you about the emotional state, it's important, right? So sometimes we tell people, we commit to them, and we say we're going to do this to appease, to please, you know, sometimes just outright lying for whatever reason, whatever, right? But we would want to be sure that we look at the astrology of it, because we may say those things well-intentioned and because we want to do something for that person, and we might prematurely set a time. Look at the ephemeris, because that's God's timing. You know how a saying goes, you make a plan, God laughs. So I'm just trying to bring God's plan to us, you know what I'm saying? Which is the transit, just like, yo, I feel your emotional state, you're related, you want to do this, or you want to help that person, or you want to make them feel good, and it feels good for you when you serve other people and make them feel good. But some things need to be done first. It's not just the moon by itself, buddy. We got other angels up there to guide you into doing it properly. What you still want to do, what you're here to do, but there's a path. There's paths that need to be taken. So look at the ephemeris, and you'll be able to better plan and structure your developments. Hope this helps everyone who watched. I don't know what I'm coming back with next time. I don't know if I'm continuing this series or not. I'm not sure. Let things just play out. I might look at another transit and see what's good. All right. Until next time, I'm out.